Hello and welcome, everyone. I am Nick Butts, and this is my Nick Butts Finance channel, which I just started. So bear with me. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to present information for this video, of course, and future videos. So I will be trying to make improvements. So today, I just want to cover a few topics. I'll go over, first, welcome everyone. And I've already introduced myself. I will be going over the channel purpose. So, what is the purpose of this Nick Butts Finance channel? And the main part of this video, how to improve your finances. And then I'll just do a little summary and thank you. And also, if there's any chess players out there, you may enjoy my Nick Butts Chess YouTube channel as well. All right, so the introduction and welcome, I pretty much have covered that already. So the channel purpose, of course, it's going to be about finance, but the main purpose of this channel is to help everyone out there because it seems that not only in the United States, but all over the world, there are just so many people out there that are having trouble knowing how to manage their finances, what to do, with just bills, living paycheck to paycheck. And then when they do save some money, how do you invest it? What do you do to build up your money that you've saved and put in these investments? What type of investments to put your money into? Anyway, this channel will be covering a lot of that type of stuff because I'm no different than most of you out there, where I just started off like the average person, saving up a little bit of money and then maybe blowing it on something, and you save money and then you blow it all. And so you just didn't have, or me personally, I just didn't have a plan when I was younger. And there was a lot of information that I just didn't have. And I had to learn over years of trying to improve my finances. So anyway, the channel purpose is to just help everyone out there with your finances to get you into better shape financially, whether you are broke, in debt, or maybe you're at the point where you're starting to save some money and you want to know how to invest. Now, one thing I'd like to mention, I am not an expert. These are my opinions. To get expert financial advice, you should talk to a financial advisor. I would recommend, reading just any number of books out there on finance and investing. There's a lot of good info, but that can be a problem as well because there's so much information out there. It might be hard to choose and figure out what books or videos or whatever else is out there. It's just difficult to find something that will be more helpful than just all the noise out there that just makes it more difficult for the average person to figure out how to improve their finances. All right. So the main part of this, how do you improve your finances? Well, from personal experience, I can tell you how I began. I wasn't sure what to do in the beginning. I knew that I should be saving money. You hear terms like retirement accounts and 401ks and investing in the stock market and all that, but there's so much to learn and so much info, it can be overwhelming. So I just started saving a little bit of money. And the first way to do that, the most important step to begin with is to come up with some kind of budget. And I know a lot of you don't like the B word, having to budget your money and figure all that out. And it can be, a pain in the neck, but it is an important step where, if you don't know where to begin, just try and come up with a simple budget in the beginning, and then you can fine tune it and tweak it as you become more accustomed to staying on a budget. So, one good way to start might be something you may or may not have heard about, the 50-30-20 budget, where you try to use half of your money for all your needs, your must haves, like your mortgage payments, your, or rent, your vehicles, food, just necessities, your bills. So you try and use half of your money to cover all of that. And then the other half you split up between 30% for things that you want. It can be tough trying to stay on a strict budget because then it's, all business and no play. You might get burnt out and not be able to stick to your budget. So you should budget some money for fun and enjoyment, eating out, things that you don't need, but the fun things, the nice to haves. And then the final 20% would be money that you try and save. And another very important step when you're trying to get on a good budget is an emergency fund. So everybody talks about this. You may hear it a lot in the financial news that not many people have an emergency fund, or if they do have one, it's small. So I don't know the exact numbers because I'm not a financial expert, but it does seem that there are too many people living paycheck to paycheck and they don't save any money, especially in an emergency fund. And then when something unexpected happens, so for example, my hot water heater just went out. And so I'm in the process now of trying to figure out what to do about that. Well, it's leaking. And so I'm going to have to dish out, a tidy sum to have that replaced and repaired. So it could be that, or your vehicle breaks down, or you have some unexpected issues that come up, and all of a sudden, you have to use a credit card. Well, then not only are you dishing out a bunch of money for this emergency, but then you'll be paying even more because you'll have to pay all the interest that will be tacked on to whatever you spend on that credit card. So, first thing, get a budget up and running. Now, maybe you can't afford to do a 50-30-20 plan, which was 50% on your necessities, 30% on the nice to haves, and then 20% in savings. So you may have to tweak that. So for example, if you're spending 70% on all your necessities and you only have 30% left over, well then, maybe you have to do 20 or 25 for your nice to haves, and then the other 5 or 10% for your savings. But then I would recommend that maybe you could cut back on the money that you use to just spend on things that are nice to have. Maybe tighten your belt and put a little bit more into savings. But even if you can only afford to put 1% of your money each month into savings, at least begin there. Start with a small amount, and that will get you in the habit of slowly putting money away on a regular basis. And so when you are beginning to save money into an emergency fund. And so there are different recommendations on the emergency fund. Maybe some people would say enough money that could get you by and cover your necessities and your expenses for 2 or 3 months if you were out of a job all of a sudden. Then that could really come in handy and save you financially. So you're not having to use credit cards and go deeper into debt. But anyway, the amount that you save in your emergency fund, that's up to you. At first I would shoot for $300 and then try and get it up to $500, and then build it up to a point where you feel safe that if there were any major problems or you would find yourself out of work, you would have a decent amount of money in your emergency fund to tide you over. And then as soon as you spend that money, make it a priority to refill that emergency fund, because you never know when you could have back-to-back financial emergencies and really need that money. All right, so make a budget, start with an emergency fund, and then once you have a decent amount in your emergency fund, then you could try to start investing your money, because whenever you just put money in a bank, a savings account, for example, usually you don't get too much interest back on that money. And you've probably all heard about inflation being crazy high recently. Well, inflation, it basically erodes the buying power of your money. So let's say that you put your money in some type of savings that gives you 2% interest. Well, inflation could be, the average inflation is usually around 3 or 4%, although recently in the last few years it has skyrocketed up to 6, 7, 8%, maybe even higher. I forget the exact numbers. But anytime that inflation is higher than the amount that you're receiving back in interest, it's almost like you're losing money, because anytime you're trying to buy something that cost $1, well, a year later, if inflation was 3%, well, then you've lost about 3% on that dollar. So that dollar is only having the equivalent of 97 cents of buying power the following year if inflation was 3%. So anyway, before I dive too deep into that, basically inflation slowly reduces the buying power of your money. So a way to fight inflation is to find ways to invest your money that give you a higher return than what the current inflation levels are each year. So if the average is 3 or 4%, then you want to find something that returns an interest rate higher than that. And so recently certificates of deposit have gone up, and you may be able to find a 5% return on a certificate of deposit from your bank. But in general, the stock market has given returns, and it's fluctuated, but the exact numbers, I would have to look that up, but it's somewhere around 9 or 10% maybe. Some years it's higher than that or lower, of course. But in the last about 100 years, the stock market has probably returned around 9 or 10%. And I did see a figure where there was a 40-year period from maybe it was 76 to 2016, where the stock market returned like 12%, which that's on the higher end. But anyway, that just shows you that the stock market could be a good investment for you. Although some people find the stock market a little too risky for them, and there are ways to minimize your risk by diversifying your investments. And one easy way to do that is in an index fund or an exchange traded fund, where you basically buy a fund that consists of maybe 500 companies in the S&P 500. And so it's kind of like you're buying a little piece of 500 companies instead of putting all your money in one company, and then if that company had problems or even went bankrupt, you could lose a lot or all of your money. All right, well, I don't want to dig too deep into this. This video has already gone on quite a bit. So basically, how to improve your finances. Get a budget put together. And there are different types of budget, but basically you have to decide how much you need on your necessities, how much you can save, and how much you'll have to just spend on the things that are nice to have and entertainment. And then once you have your budget, save an emergency fund, and you'll just determine that by whatever you feel is comfortable to get you by for a few months if you were to lose a job, or enough money to cover an unexpected emergency. All right, well, let's see. After you have your budget set up and your emergency fund saved, then you can start investing money. And in future videos, I will talk more about that as well, different ways that you can invest. But just remember, once again, I'm not a financial advisor or an expert. These are my opinions and things I've learned over the last 20 years of trying to get my own financial house in order and just improve my financial situation overall. All right, let's see. I think that'll be enough for today. Once again, if there are any chess players, you may enjoy my Nick Butts Chess YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions. And I just want to thank everybody for watching this Nick Butts Finance video, my first video. And I apologize for this one slide with my picture off to the side. So I will try and improve this as I go along. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.